Good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is BGG bringing you the Straight Talk Radio for Thursday, September 17th. A lot of good news. Couldn't wait to get it to bring it to you. So let's get started on Thursday morning. Before I get going, though, I want to make sure I thank all of our chat copiers, the people who do research at dinarupdates.com. Particularly Doodlebrain got left out a couple times there, and she just does a fantastic job. Our Cookie Loop, Romello, Holly One, on and on and on. Our news research is just fantastic. They are far and away the best on the web. So if you're not checking in on their news articles every day in the Iraq news thread, you're missing out. Also, make sure you check into the blog on the Observer every day. Blog probably a couple times a day because I really watch for every 24, 48-hour news cycle, and I put the most important 2 or 3 articles on the blog for that time period. So the blog we're using much differently than we have in the past, but it's still vitally important. If you want to know what if you just got 5 minutes, you want to know what the key thing is, hit the blog and do it a couple times a day, and I'll keep you informed there. Also, the Observer is kind of a rolling commentary of what everybody had to say in the community and some news articles, critical stuff, things going on. That's what we use the Observer for. DinarUpdates.com/blog, DinarUpdates.com/observer. Thanks so much for tuning in. Okay, and by the way, thanks to all the personalities who stopped by. However, having said that, the strength of Dinar Updates is not the 2 or 3 big names that show up and have something to say. It's the news researchers and the people every day that contribute. Dinar Updates truly is a community, and I am appreciative of everyone who is there. Let's get going here. Let's talk about some news, and there's really a ton of stuff to talk about. Whoever said that this thing is going slow really is I don't know what they're watching, but it's almost, compared to what it was several years ago, this is crazy. The amount of news we have every single day about what's going on and encouraging stuff in spite of the instability. I get it, okay? And this isn't for the faint of heart. If this was Dow, it'd be down 3,000 points, but it's not. You all are different kinds of investors, so I salute you for that. Apparently, according to reports, and you know what, on the blog I can actually pull up what that was. Yesterday, the Parliament actually apparently finished the vote on the anti-money laundering law. This is and on different tweets and things you've heard me say, I'm not saying that the RV is done, and I'm not even alluding to that. What I said was this hard deadline for the World Bank and the IMF appears to be met. That's done now, because the main thing that they want was the anti-money laundering law. Now, I'm sure that they want it to be enforced. That is a critical issue. But what the World Bank and IMF asked them for in the anti-money laundering law, that's done now. In fact, they were screaming fast progress on that. They did their vote. It was announced on let me see where it was announced. It was announced on the Central Bank of Iraq and numerous news threads yesterday. So late yesterday, that all came out. There was the one piece of news everybody's kind of poo-pooing about. Let me give you some perspective on this. They apparently postponed the Second Amendment, or what that would translate to is the second reading of the investment law, until after the feast. First of all, let me give you the backstory. First of all, this session of the House of Representatives yesterday wasn't even chaired by Jabouri. It was by his first deputy speaker, Hammoudi. No matter who was in the picture, that was not Jabouri. He wasn't there. It was by Hammoudi. They did the vote without Jabouri. I don't know exactly what the whole background was. However, I did explain to everybody all along and leading up to this that the investment law wasn't necessarily required, but it would make a body look good. Well, guess what? A body didn't show up to Parliament like he had said, and like they would have liked him to over a couple of periods. Could be Jabouri wasn't there to provide leadership. A body wasn't there to provide leadership. Parliament kind of gave him a little bit of a nudge, and they just said, hey, we're going to put this thing that's going to make you look good off to the side for right now. That was done by Hammoudi, by the way, not Jabouri. No big turmoil, just that they weren't going to do it right now. And if they do one huge thing every session from here on out, that's going to be very fast progress. So they probably got one more reading of that and then a vote just like they did this one. And they put that off. No guarantee, by the way, that they're going to put it off until the 27th. I don't necessarily think that's entirely accurate. But, we'll just wait and see what they actually do. There's numerous articles. There was an article out that read, pull this article up real quick, and this one's got a lot of people all scrolled up about. Parliamentary Finance Committee proposes the adoption of an unrestricted float for the price of the dollar, and the central bank reserves will meet the needs of the market. Blah, 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 blah. Before anybody gets uptight about this, stop and think. There is at least 4 different versions. And first, let's go back and talk about who this guy is. It is not the chairman of the Finance Committee that I know of. It's just a guy on the Finance Committee, Ahmed. It says Ahmed of the Finance Committee in the House of Representatives proposes, meaning that's his idea, that the central bank adopt a restrictive float, which is not particularly a free float, is what it is. So that's simply his opinion. Now, I'm going to take a step back, and you know what? There's even comments in this article from the actual head of the Finance Committee who says that there are 3 ways that they can deal with the price of the currency. There's a bunch of stuff in that article, but here's the point that I want to make today. This is what I've said all along, that there's numerous different points of opinion. If the Central Bank of Iraq had a singular consciousness or a singular thought or a singular methodology, we would probably have some inkling as to what it is. But they don't. This is at least a 4-way debate right now, which includes this guy talking about some kind of restricted float. The head of the Finance Committee isn't even taking a side. He says that there's at least 3 different ways. Najib, who's also on the Finance Committee, 10 days ago, almost called for a flat-out RV, and then the central bank is talking about this craziness about the 50K and 100K notes. None of that reconciles one with the other. So my advice, relax, take a deep breath. They're going to do something, and it's going to include buying power at some point, and that is because Iraq needs it, ultimately, and we're going to get to the politics behind that here in just a second. But my point is, all these people coming out and saying, my idea is right, my idea is right, my idea is right. Well, there's as many people in Iraq saying the very same thing. So take a deep breath, relax. Don't worry about that part of it right now. And the main focus is that Iraq in general needs buying power, and more than likely that's going to happen. Regarding this 50K, 100K thing, there was also one other article out today sometime. Excuse me, and I'll see if I can't dig that up real quick. No, I'm way off base here, and I'm in the wrong place to get the actual article and read it to you. But anyway, it was Shamiri, I think, was the economist that was talking about wanting to devalue the Iraqi currency again, blah, blah, blah. Same guy, same shtick. It's been going on for 3 months now. He's a nobody. Quit worried about that. However, the Central Bank of Iraq's governor is kind of apparently, I think, glommed onto this guy's idea, is quoting the same thing, and these kind of comments from the interim proxy governor of the Central Bank of Iraq just clearly displays how defective he is and how inadequate he is for this job. He's just not set up for it. So one other idea I want to talk about is this idea that the HCL has to be done before there's any kind of shift in the currency value is ridiculous, okay? It may get done before. I don't think so. It's not impossible, but it's not a have-to solution. It's not a have-to situation. And I'll tell you exactly where the roots of this whole theology or theory came from. It came from a guy a long time ago that was selling currency, that was a big dog in the community, who and this was just his personal opinion, period. That's all it was. It was his opinion, and he just plainly told people. He said, I think when you see an HCL, then you'll see an RV. That's what he said. and from there, everybody, that is in that little slice of the opinion pie has kind of latched onto that ideology, and here they go. That is their reasoning for it not having happened so far. That's not the reason it ain't happened so far. Matter of fact, here is my idea or my thought, my opinion on the whole Maliki situation. Just recently, articles came out in the council. The council ministers have Fuad Massoum has been accused of stalling these reforms. He's not. The only thing he said is that you're going to have to pass a law. You're going to have to make this thing judicial proof, so to speak, if you're going to get rid of Maliki fully, completely, and all for good. So that's why he wouldn't sign on to this thing. So in response, the council ministers went back and actually did what he said they needed to do. They sent a law forward, and I don't even know what they've called it right now. It's something like a law of the removal of the vice presidents or something like that. They've already sent that on to the House of Representatives of Parliament, and as in conjunction with that, the House of Representatives has already, or Parliament, the second part of that council ministers meeting was that they're going to withdraw all the pending legislation from the previous Maliki government. There was like 50 laws or something in front of Parliament to debate or to discuss or whatever, to look forward to processing and moving forward. This council of ministers with a body just withdrew all of it. They said, we want all that stuff back. And according to reports yesterday, they did. Took it all back. It's not even in front of Parliament anymore. So one half of what they said they were going to do is for sure already done, and the other half is more than likely sent on to the Parliament to be considered, and that's this removal of the vice president. I suspect the body will show up. I suspect he will provide leadership. I suspect he will answer. And keep in mind, there's some factions of this thing that are a little bit tore up because there was actually three separate people groups in Iraq that were represented when these vice presidents were removed. But everybody understands they got to get rid of the corruption. So there's going to be some hurt feelings in Parliament. But keep in mind, some of the great political watchers in Iraq over the years have said far and away that the various people groups' hatred for Maliki will outweigh everything else. And the last time that they voted in a referendum-style format for or against Maliki was a landslide. So even though that there's some possibility of hurt feelings in Parliament, might stall that thing up a little bit, I think that they're going to when they do finally vote on this thing, it will be clear, it will be decisive, and he'll be gone. At which time, anywhere along the way, he will probably be gone. Also, as evidenced by his, and I hope I didn't lose it here. Here we go. The arrest of a Maliki advisor named Fadel al-Shara on charges of terrorism. He's actually in charge of some of the various militias that are surrounding Maliki, and this is exactly where we're headed right now. By the way, Maliki Alak and his gang that have been looting the Iraqi treasury and the CBI reserves for some time now fully are the reason that there hasn't been a shift in monetary policy up until now. They just keep the whole place stirred up. They keep the place on fire, and while everybody's not looking at them and fighting each other, they're robbing the place blind. That's on its way out. My opinion about the whole Maliki thing is I think that they will probably they have to deal with this removal of the vice presidents directly. The reason they have to make it judicial proof, number one, is because they haven't recaptured their courts from the crooks yet, but they will. They have to send this law through Parliament because once they make it purely official, Maliki's immunity is gone. Once he's gone, they'll move against him directly. But for now, they're chiseling away at his power base, which is this advisor who's in charge of some of the militias and some of the planning of these terrorist attacks that you have seen in Baghdad. They don't particularly care who they assassinate, which party it's from, just so that it furthers their agendas. And they are all of this stuff is starting to come out. I think that once they fully passed this law removing the vice presidents, which more than likely will happen fairly soon. Once that happens, they'll probably move directly against Maliki. Once they move directly against Maliki, then the door opens wide for monetary reform. Then you'll see a lot go. Some of these key players in very serious trouble. All that will happen, and I think it has to happen after the removal of vice president's law, which is, does all that mean that there can't be an RV along the way? Absolutely not. But I'm saying in this taking back of their country, my opinion, the chronology of events is the removal law, Maliki directly, and here's exactly why they want to do all that. Because Maliki is the primary guy who's standing against the National Guard law. You'll see it all over the news all the time. He's constantly attacking that National Guard law. And it's pure foolishness. All of his arguments are purely selfish. The reason they want to get rid of him is because as soon as he's gone, then that National Guard law will fly right through. They could put all these, kind of wild and crazy forces under some type of central Baghdad authority. Then there won't be this warlord mentality going on inside Baghdad. Inside the city limits of Baghdad, that won't be going on. So having said all that, I think all this whole situation will probably stable up fairly soon, and it's moving towards a conclusion right now. So those are some of my thoughts, some of my opinions. I hope that illuminates what the situation is all about. But they're pushing this elimination of the VP's law forward, so it eliminates Maliki's immunity. As soon as that happens, they're going to move against him directly. They're tipping their hand by chiseling away at his primary terrorist advisors right now. I think he'll probably run, but if he doesn't, they'll scoop him up if he's in the country. And then shortly after all that happens, they will push forward with National Guard law, and I think without him in the way, it'll move right forward. I mean, quite honestly, it'll be just like the referendum against him in the Parliament. I mean, everybody's sick and tired of this whole monkey business. They're ready to move on. We're ready to move on. It's on its way. So, and with respect to these 4 or 5 different plans out there by the Central Bank of Iraq, like I said, I would relax. They don't have a singular consciousness about this yet. The good side will win. Value will go up. You're already sitting in a great position, with your buckets in the way, so to speak, and that's where you want to be. So, having said all that, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. A lot of stuff been going on the last few days. More than likely, next few days, a lot of stuff will go on. Will continue happening. And stay tuned. We'll continue bringing you more Dinar news, Dinar commentary, and Dinar info as we're able. Have a great day.